Okay, so what is it, September 18th today? Since the last time we chatted, we've got all our retaining walls are done, and we can see it behind us here. We've got the basement built, and now we're putting on extra insulation on the basement, and we're doing all the waterproofing and weeping tile. There's a lot of extra steps in there, but those are the basics of what we're doing today, or what we're showing today. Drainage and waterproofing, it's super important in a house. I like to think of a house basement as a boat. So you've got your boat sitting in the water, which is dirt, but the dirt has water in it. So if there's any leaks in the boat, the water's going to want to try and get in. So what we try and do is we have a nice free path for the water to go down on the sides of the basement and into the weeping tile, and then out through the back here and just drain away harmlessly. There's still a sump pump in the house, so if anything does get into the basement, it drains out, or it gets pumped out, sorry. But just the waterproofing thing is just sealing the boat and trying to get the water away from the house. Weeping tile, yeah, it's an old term. The original weeping tile was actually ceramic. It was made in tile factories, presumably in England. I don't know. But yeah, even this house used to have ceramic sewer pipe in it, so they just used the same technology to make the weeping tile, or it's actually a hose that runs on the side of the house. So it's kind of an interesting old term. What we've also done is we've poured the main floor, which is the ceiling of the basement and the floor for the main floor. It's an interesting concept. It's open web steel joists that run this way. They're 4 feet apart, and you replace them with a crane. You put plywood down, and then you simply pour concrete on top of that, and you've got your floor and your ceiling. Obviously fireproof, super simple, not the cheapest, but incredibly effective. And we like the concrete floors, so it's going to be kind of fun once it's done. The nice thing is we can include heat in the floor, so we've got literally tubes running through the floor that heats it in different zones, so you can control that. So when you get out of bed in the morning and you hop down on the floor, you got a nice warm toes. What we're doing for the actual finish, a lot of people say it's like, ooh, concrete floors, it's like, isn't that kind of industrial? Well, we're acid etching the floors, so it's a chaotic sort of process. You never know what the floor is going to turn out like. You put this acid on the floor and you pull it up and you look at it, and that's exactly what you've got. It's sort of, a lot of people compare it to sort of a marbled texture, and you put different kinds of acid down to change the colors, and so you can sort of mix and match, but you're just literally throwing liquid onto the floor and hoping for the best. You're leaving it to chaos for the actual outcome, so that's kind of fun. The floor system it's made by a company called Hambro. They're actually manufactured here in Calgary, which is, it sort of adheres to our 100-mile diet thing. So the joists are held apart by brackets, and then you put the plywood down on this bracket. You pour the floor, as I said, and then once everything's cured, the cool thing is you take out the brackets, and then you can strip the plywood out from underneath. So the plywood's not stuck there doing nothing. You use it for the next floor, or we might be putting it down on the floor to protect it. So, we're trying to reduce our waste as much as we can. So the cool thing is we can reuse that plywood over and over again. We'll be using it for, well, 4 more floors, I suppose. Site safety is a challenge. You want the site as safe as possible, but you also want to work in the site. So it's occupational health and safety has a book that big on all the things that you're supposed to do. You try and adhere to that as best as you possibly can. But I was even noticing this morning, we just poured a pier over here, or a footing for a wall, and there's rebar sticking out of it. And if a person tripped and fell, you can impale yourself on the rebar, and that wouldn't be very much fun. So we typically put little plastic mushrooms on top of there, and the safety thing. Sometimes it's just timing. We strip the forms, and we have yet to put the safety devices in place. Common sense rules: eye protection, head protection for overhead hazards, and steel toes. Steel shanks especially, I think, is almost just as important because there's tons of nails on sites. We've got hand railings up there, so with fall hazards, you try and look after that as well. It's just common sense. We've yet to have an inspection, so it'd be interesting to actually have one so that we we know that we're on the right track. Biggest challenge, I hate to say it, but it's dealing with the city has been an education at best. Most of the guys and policies are quite reasonable, but every once in a while you get a hitch. For example, our house over the course of the last month turned from a residential project into a commercial project. So in other words, enclosed stairways, exit signs, tied in fire alarm systems. It's a whole new can of worms, and nobody was expecting it. So I think we can get it resolved, and the guys are working with us, so we'll get through it. But I have to admit, it was a total sucker punch surprise, I think, for all involved. Another challenge with this particular type of build, all concrete, it's time consuming. A regular stick-framed house, they can go up pretty quick. So we have a sloped lot. There's 15 feet difference between the top and the bottom. We've followed that before. But it's all the engineering involved and the structure. So with the concrete, with the retaining walls and all that sort of thing, there's a lot of infrastructure that you have to put in place first, and then you pour, and then you have to take it all apart again. The insulated concrete forms, like the Logix product that the house is actually built out of, that's not bad at all, because you set it up and you pour it and you're done. There's no stripping involved. But it's challenging simply because of the lot, and the building materials, they aren't challenging in themselves, but the challenge is the time management. I think the funnest thing of the project is it's an education. I am learning so much, whether I want to or not. But I love to learn new stuff, and this is fantastic. There's one thing to research everything, but it's another thing to actually build it and put it into practice. Another incredibly rewarding thing is neighbors. Neighbors will come by. They'll peek through the fence, and I'll invite them in, because most people don't get a chance to get onto a construction site, and they're really interested in this because it's something different. It's not a bunch of wood going up. So I don't know. I just find that incredibly rewarding when the people come in and they're just absolutely fascinated. We can show them the plans and walk them around, and if it's safe, and they get a heck of a lot of fun out of it. Progress. We've had a couple of hiccups. The one time when we had to go completely backwards is we installed the Hambro floor joists. I didn't look at the instructions properly, and we got them all backwards. And when we're checking everything out after the crane had gone and blah blah blah, we looked at it, and and Grant told me, he's like, I think we got these backwards, and we did. So we had to hire a crane, bring it back in, flip everything around, and look after it. But it's that same old thing. You just double check everything, and you can't go wrong. That put us back 3-4 days. But in terms of overall scope, we're probably about a month behind right now. But I can't complain. There's projects that are worse, and I'm hoping that the bureaucratic situation doesn't hold that up any longer. The house is turning out strangely exactly the way we wanted, but the nice thing is we're doing it all ourselves, so you've got control. You don't have somebody cutting corners or suggesting something that they like a little better, or because they get a little bit of a kickback on a certain product. Everything that I see is what I had envisioned in my little brain. So no, I'm incredibly happy with this. It's exactly what we wanted. We've got the control.